The terms of reference of the Council was agreed by the two sides, and now we are in a process of selecting its members. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think I should have underlined this very important, and the importance of this very important relationship at the very outset, before getting into some sensitive and important issues. Now, one of the most debated subjects is whether Turkey has shifted its axis in terms of its policies. Let me address this at this stage. Two separate developments, Turkish-Israeli relations and Iranian nuclear issue, basically have led to an increase in recent op-eds suggesting a shift of axis in Turkish foreign policy. Before sharing our thoughts on these two distinct issues, I should set the record straight, ladies and gentlemen. Turkey's Western vocation is an irreversible process. We have long passed the point where one might talk about the possibility of a change of course. Our EU vocation represents our commitment to democracy, freedom, and free market economy, whereas our membership in NATO represents the backbone of our national security. Turkey has covered considerable path in her membership quest for EU. We would have completed most of our negotiating chapters had we not have the current political problems created by certain EU member states, notably, let me just skip that. One reason, I'm a diplomat, so one reason that may give rise to the arguments about Turkey turning her face towards the East is Turkey's evolving relations with Syria and Iran. I should make one thing very clear. Turkey's policy, which is widely known as zero problem policy towards its neighbors, is inclusive and not based on religion or ideology. Thanks to this policy, we have accomplished positive changes in our relations with all of our neighbors over the last decade. To give you only a few examples, Turkey's trade volume with her neighbors increased by sixfold over the last 7 years. Considerable progress was achieved in relations with Armenia. Our relations with Azerbaijan and Georgia are equally strong. We established high-level strategic council meetings with Greece, Syria, Iraq, and Russia. We lifted visa requirements with Russia, Syria, Albania, Lebanon, Jordan, and Libya. Similar arrangements will be made with Azerbaijan. In the last couple of years, I think, if I would be specific about our relations with Israel, for instance, with the defense purchases and interaction, we have had together a trade volume of 5.5 billion US dollars, which is unprecedented in 2008, of course. And we have relationship with 33 Latin American and Caribbean and Latin American countries. With 33 of those countries, we have a similar volume of trade, 5.5 billion. And if you consider our trade with Brazil being 2.5 billion, and with Chile 1.5 billion, it remains only 1 billion for the 31 countries that we trade. Therefore, Israel is there as one of our, I think, important trade partners as well, let alone politically, its political importance for our country. Another factor that may give rise to these arguments might be Turkey's increased role in promoting peace and stability in her neighboring regions and beyond. We are not immune to the effects of the conflicts in our region. Therefore, we cannot only observe events. War in Iraq, conflict in Palestine, dispute in Lebanon, hostilities between Russia and Georgia, war in Bosnia, conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia, and the Iranian nuclear issue have all had direct bearings on Turkey. This requires Turkish foreign policy to actively engage in order to prevent conflicts from escalating. Turkey's efforts towards reconciliation among disputing parties reflects this approach. Our widely acknowledged efforts aim at bringing together disputing parties such as Afghanistan and Pakistan, Iraqi Sunnis and Shiites, as well as Arabs and Kurds, Bosnian Muslims and Serbs, opposing groups in Lebanon, Iran and the international community, and until recently, Israelis and Arabs. These efforts are all necessary for Turkey's own prosperity and for the stability of our neighboring regions. Turkey's efforts to find a diplomatic solution to both the Iranian nuclear issue and to the differences in Bosnia should be viewed within the larger context, within this larger context. Moreover, Turkey's relations with other global actors are complementary. Hence, our relations with the United States and the EU complement our presence in Eurasia, in the Middle East, and in our relations with Russia. These components are not mutually exclusive. Therefore, developing our relations with Syria or Russia does not indicate a shift of axis. Similarly, Turkey's membership to the UN Security Council, G20 Organization of Islamic Conference, the Council of Europe, South East European Cooperation Process, or OECD, are all complementary. Now, I think I know that you're getting out of patience for lunch, but you have to bear with me a little more. About Middle East, I think, let me just say a few words on our vision towards the Middle East and the Islamic world. Turkey enjoys deep-rooted historical, cultural, religious, and traditional ties with the Middle East. We live in the same region, and we are affected by the same problems. Turkey is not an outsider to this region, but an actor who has deep insight of the geography and the peoples inhabiting it. Our common objective is to transform this region into one of peace, cooperation, stability, and prosperity, so as to build a brighter future for the generations to come.